In the news tonight, the Prime Minister calls for more African commercial and investment banks to set up operations in the Caribbean. The sharp rise in suspected dengue cases continues, and the Health Ministry warns the public to be on alert. A gas leak and subsequent fire causes road closures in the city. And in sports, Barbados Pride seamer Raymond Reifer suspended from bowling 2 variations in his arsenal.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. Thank you so much for tuning in. In our top story tonight, Barbados is encouraging African commercial and investment banks to set up operations in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley has made the call, urging the financial institutions in Africa to follow the example of the African Export-Import Afrexim Bank. Her comments come as she leads a Barbados delegation to the ongoing 2nd Africa-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum in Guyana. Here's more from Kishmar Singist.
Drawing reference to the entry of Republic Bank in Ghana, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley sees this as a major step for Caribbean entities. The Barbadian leader wants African banks to consider reciprocating. She weighed in on the impact of such a move in her address at the 2nd Africa-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum. The event being held in Guyana was organized under the theme, Creating a Shared Prosperous Future.
Who will then, and investment banks, who can then make a huge difference to the level of economic activity in the Caribbean, but more importantly even, to give confidence to the players from Africa with whom they have already existing relationships, that this is an area where business can be facilitated, not just by governments, but by dealing with entities with whom you already have a relationship. I trust and pray that equally, Caribbean people in going to Ghana and wherever else Republic Bank will go, will also have that initial bridge, so that as you walk tentatively out into new horizons, you know that you have faces and spaces that you are comfortable in.
During a panel discussion, Barbados' Central Bank Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge revealed that work is advancing for Caribbean countries to trade in their own currencies with Africa. He noted that countries are looking to adopt a currency conversion mechanism.
That in of itself not only promotes growth in terms of trade and investment facilitation, it also eliminates transaction costs. It senses a settlement in the net position. It saves us on foreign currency. It promotes financial inclusion. We don't have to source US dollars when trading between Guyana, for example, and Barbados. We can settle in each other's currency. Now we're looking to start a pilot program, Barbados and Bahamas, and we're looking for a 3rd central bank.
Dr. Greenidge says there's need for cooperation between central banks in the Caribbean and Africa.
We have to have functional cooperation between the central banks in the African continent and the Caribbean in terms of standardization, regulations, how any regulatory barriers, etc., to move forward. We've already, a number of us have these relationships already, but we'll be making it even wider. And once that's up and running, then it's just go from there. We need, of course, some trade agreements, and Afrexim Bank in the Caribbean and Barbados is part of that process, facilitating it. As Jean Leon said earlier, we need some financing facilities.
Guyana's President, Dr. Irfan Ali, meanwhile, challenged the private sector to help find a solution to the problems facing transportation in the region.
Afrexim Bank has assured us that they are ready to examine a proposal from the regional private sector to present this solution. Every single state in CARICOM has made it clear that we will give all the incentives necessary to facilitate the building of a regional transport infrastructure system to solve the problem of regional transport. It is in your hands now.
The inaugural Africa-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum was held in Barbados last year. Kishmar Singist, CBC News.
Protect yourself. That's the message to the public from the Chief Medical Officer as he provided an update on the dengue outbreak in Barbados. Sharika Griffith reports.
No suspected or confirmed deaths of dengue. Chief Medical Officer Dr. the Most Honorable Kenneth George providing an update on the Barbados dengue outbreak, which began in September. As of October 16th, the country has recorded 647 suspected cases, compared to 261 for the same period last year. Dr. George wants people to be careful.
We have multiple serotypes of dengue circulating, so that is a red flag for poorer outcomes. And therefore, we need to be cautious because the poorer outcomes include shock and hemorrhage. But we haven't had any of those yet reported. Hemorrhaging meaning bleeding. We've had 1 or 2 cases where people have presented with low platelets, and low platelets in turn can lead to bleeding.
In response to the outbreak, the ministry has resumed its weekly fogging schedule, and homeowners are encouraged to open their windows and doors so the spray can enter. Dr. George also wants people to take steps to ensure their personal protection, including wearing light clothing which covers the arms and feet, and reducing potential mosquito breeding sites in and around their premises.
I've gone into households and seen persons have plants in water. When you look at it, it's full of mosquito larvae. The tires, the guttering, etc. When I say cooperation from the public, I mean cooperation with respect to reducing the sources, but also when they are sick and ill, they need to be able to share their information with the Ministry of Health so that we could do the appropriate investigations, right? What happens is environmental health officers go into communities in Barbados and take information, and we want to know contact information. So simple things like that helps a long way.
Currently, the ministry has been receiving reports of increased mosquito sightings in St. Michael, Oistins, and other areas in the south of the island. The public can make reports by contacting the Environmental Health Department at the nearest polyclinic. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
An underground gas fire that erupted through a manhole in the street spurred a rapid response from emergency and other officials today. The incident occurred at the junction of the traffic lights in Fairchild Street, Bridgetown, just before 6 this morning. It was subsequently extinguished, but not before creating some chaotic scenes, since several roads were closed during rush hour traffic. Divisional Officer of the Barbados Fire Service, Marlon Smald, told CBC this evening the blaze was in what he called a cavern in the area adjacent to the Freedom Park. According to him, it was put out about 2 this afternoon. The divisional officer says officials from the National Petroleum Corporation and the Barbados Fire Service, including Chief Fire Officer Errol Maynard, remained on location as part of the monitoring team. Now, up until news time, there were still some restrictions in and around Bridgetown for pedestrians and motorists. Mr. Small says 6 officers with 1 water tender from the Bridgetown station responded to the incident.
The fire has been extinguished. There are still some traffic restrictions in place, and we will continue to ask the traveling public to be cooperative with those instructions by members of the Barbados Police Service, and there will be some ward work that will be carried out, but the fire has been extinguished and the all clear has been given for persons to utilize limited utilization of the area.
In a statement, Acting General Manager at the National Petroleum Corporation, Michelle Smith, said they were notified about the fire in the area of Fairchild and Nelson Streets this morning in the proximity of their natural gas pipeline, and they responded. She added that out of an abundance of caution, gas supplies were turned off in Fairchild and Nelson Streets, while the NPC conducted its checks to ensure the area remained safe. Ms. Smith said as soon as those checks were completed, the gas was restored. Well, coming up on Newsnight, officials urging Barbadians to make their voices heard on education reform. Consultations on the newly proposed reform of Barbados' education system are ongoing, and education officials are encouraging Barbadians to submit their input. Reimagining Education, the Education Reform Proposals Initiative, was launched earlier this month at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre. Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw says 4 more consultations are planned. The second is set for Queen's College this Thursday. Dr. Archer Bradshaw reiterated the education system is not serving the needs of children as it should, and she notes instead of tweaking aspects of the system, officials saw it best to analyze and evaluate it and make a determination regarding its transformation to enhance students' outcome. Dr. Archer Bradshaw was a guest on the CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
Coming out of that, we said that there was a need to look at our curricula. There was a need to ensure that we provide professional development opportunities for our teachers and educational leaders. We agreed that the educational framework, the regulation and the education were outdated, and there was a need to change that. We spoke about the digital infrastructure and the physical infrastructure, and we said that schools must be more conducive to teaching and learning. And coming out of those conversations, we had other discussions with stakeholders, for example, the faith-based organizations, principals, teachers, parents, and students themselves.
The Secondary Schools Speak Off competition, hosted by Cooperators General Insurance, continues to generate great interest, with officials saying it has become quite useful for students. After a break due to the COVID-19 pandemic, General Manager Anton Lovell says they're happy to resume the competition. The inaugural competition was won by the St. George Secondary School. Mr. Lovell says the competition, held in partnership with the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, not only builds camaraderie, but also boosts students' confidence and research skills.
It's a worthwhile event, and students really benefit from the experience. So I want to wish you all the best, and please give your best shot, work with your teachers, and the teachers themselves, they will continue or should assist you in the preparation, and I'm happy that these schools have agreed to participate. I'm happy too that the parents allow you to participate in this competition.
Cooperators General Insurance's Human Resources and Marketing Manager Cheryl Ford says this year's competition will focus on 3 topics dealing with the climate, COVID-19 and violence. She says they were selected because they are current and given their impact on Barbadian youth.
We've seen you in so many activities that we decided we were going to use these topics, things that you're familiar with. There's nothing a stranger to you. You don't have to do the 3 topics. Somebody asked if they have to do 3. You don't have to do all 3. You select the topic. You can select the topic with assistance from your teacher, from your mentors, even your friends, but you have to select a topic that you think that you can handle best.
The semi-finals for the Secondary Schools Speak Off competition is slated for November 8th and the finals on November 22nd. Barbados has lost one of the lead contributors to its infrastructural development. The late acting Chief Technical Officer at the Ministry of Transport, Works and Water Resources, Philip Tudor, passed away earlier today after a brief period of illness. Rashid Best reports.
We plan to intensify this community access road program within the next week or 2.
37 years of his life were dedicated to serving Barbados through his roles in the Ministry of Transport and Works, now called the Ministry of Transport, Works and Water Resources. There, Philip Tudor played a central role in the infrastructural development of our island. The civil engineering graduate was instrumental in the execution of key infrastructural projects across the island and was often regarded as the face and the voice of the ministry, especially in recent times during Parish Speaks meetings. Acting Prime Minister and Minister of Transport, Works and Water Resources, Santia Bradshaw, upon learning of the news of his passing, expressed her condolences and identified a number of areas where his work is seen today.
Whether it was roads, bridges, drainage, road reinstatement, projects, or management of the depots, all roads at MTW inevitably led to Philip Tudor. In fact, when it comes to the public infrastructure of Barbados, one does not have to travel very far in any direction from our headquarters in the Pine to see his work. Whether it is a drainage system in Garden Land or Murphy Pasture, bridges at Bath, Newcastle, Morgan Lewis or Pike Corner, landslide mitigation structures at Springvale, Trier Path or Coconut Grove, or major road projects such as the recently completed rehabilitation of one half of Highway 1.
Minister Bradshaw described Mr. Tudor as a man who took his work seriously and served his country with distinction. She noted that his guidance and expertise will be sorely missed by all.
On behalf of the Prime Minister and fellow members of the Cabinet, Dr. Ramel Springer, Parliamentary Secretary, as well as the entire team at the Ministry, I extend sincere condolences to his wife, Dr. Lysandra Tudor, his son Alir, and other members of the Tudor family on his passing. We owe you all so much for lending him in service to his country these many years. May his soul rest in peace.
Rashid Best, CBC News.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Sports time now, so we head over to the sports studio where Anne-Marie Burke is standing by with the details. Good evening, Anne-Marie.
Good evening to you, Lisa. Jaden Prescott inspired Milton Lynch to an 18-run victory over Shirley Chisholm today as the Herman Griffith Primary School's cricket competition bowled off for the first time in 3 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Playing at the Maurice King Sports Complex in Briar Hall, Milton Lynch got up to 160 for 8 in their allotted 25 overs. In reply, Shirley Chisholm only managed 144 for 8. CBC's Anwar Goodrich Boyce reports on the replay.
Shirley Chisholm set a target of 161 for victory, and the chase was off to a supreme start. Kaimar Knight to Nakako Patterson, not the best of deliveries, is down the leg side and gets the punishment it deserved. Dispatched between square leg and mid wicket for a boundary. Change of bowlers now. Zayden went to Patterson, and this one is launched on the leg side again. 4 more. Patterson was definitely enjoying this bowling. Too short from Went again, and he's pulled away to the ropes. Milton Lynch finally got the breakthrough thanks to Jaden Prescott. A slow delivery, a swing, a miss from Caden Williams, and he's bowled for 3. The score now 48 for 1. Patterson was strong with his leg side stroke play. Here he is, tugging Prescott to the fence for another boundary. This delivery was a carbon copy of the previous one. Prescott to Patterson again. It's the same result. Shirley Chisholm, 65 for 1. The next wicket to fall was that of Tajani Nichols. This was the ball of the day from Kaimar Knight. Pitched outside leg, and look at this turn. It deceives Nichols and hits the middle stump. An absolute beauty, and he knows it. 67 for 2. While the wickets were falling around him, Patterson continued to work. Pacey delivery from Raquel May Bartholomew, and Patterson hits it on the half volley. In the air for a bit, and there's a fielder running around from low on, but he won't get there in time. That's 4 more. What was proven to be a fairy tale innings for Patterson came to an agonizing end the very next ball. He lobs this one into the air, and is caught at extra cover. Patterson is gone for 35. The score now 90 for 3. Prescott returned to the attack and immediately struck, bowling Latari Lane 104 for 4. Prescott was on a roll. This time, Uriah Dallaray falls victim. He's also clean bowl, bails flying, definitely deserving of a standing ovation. Shirley Chisholm required 18 to win from the final over, and Zayasa Jones enjoyed this ball, hitting Knight for 4. A successful run chase was not to be, as Notariko Payne attempts for a single off Knight, but the ball is thrown to the non-striker's end, and Knight hits the stumps to dismiss Payne, as Milton Lynch win by 18 runs to get their Herman Griffith campaign off to a winning start. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
The Business Report, brought to you by the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, a department of the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment, supporting young entrepreneurs from idea to enterprise.
In the business news tonight, a young entrepreneur working on establishing her product in the local market is already eyeing the wider Caribbean. Sharia Pilgrim is the creator and managing director of Soapful Caribbean, which produces bath soaps. Trevor Thorpe has her story.
Ms. Pilgrim says she enjoys creating with her hands, so it was a natural progression for her to drift towards soap making. The driving force behind the initiative, she says, is that as a Caribbean woman, she wanted to create something which would reflect the region.
My inspiration comes from the Caribbean, so I wanted to create a brand that really speaks to that and still is great for your skin. So I took inspiration from different things. So like our mahogany, for example, is made of oats and it has oat milk in it. So we have basically a range of products that basically is very moisturizing for your skin.
She said the difference in the Soapful Caribbean collection is the scent profiles.
But what makes my soap and soap is the scent, really. And what makes my soap for women is really scent profile. So women usually tend to like floral scents, lighter scents, things like fruity. Some men like citrus. A lot of men like spicier, more grounding scents. So that is really where I make the distinction between men's and women's soaps.
The Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme was instrumental in getting the young business off the ground.
YES provides support and structure. So I did the YES program in November through February of last year. So YES has guided us in terms of like how we set up the business. You have to think about certain critical decisions you have to make before you actually get into the business. So YES has really provided the support in terms of you can ask questions, there are consultants, there are services that they provide. So they've really guided and tailored how you think about setting up business, where you go, what you do, who you speak to, who you need to network, that kind of thing. So they've really helped support, the business decisions that I've had to think of in terms of from packaging, even let's step all the way back to like feasibility and market studies and that kind of thing. So they've really helped to tailor you into thinking what your business model will look like and how you can distinguish yourself in the market.
To date, the soap line reaches the marketplace at pop-ups as well as on social media.
Right now, primarily operating on Instagram, so you can follow me at Soapful Caribbean, and I do a lot of pop-up events, a lot of markets and so on. I'm at Brighton Farmers Market as well, and I usually try to do direct sales, person to person, customer to customer, sorry.
Ms. Pilgrim tells the YES Business Report she is strengthening her position in the marketplace, but is eyeing the Caribbean.
Yes, I am. So I'm looking to that as a longer-term goal. But right now I'm focused on sustainability and building my customer base. But I see my business going to the regional market and international market because I have contacts in different places. So that is a goal generally. But so I am thinking of definitely expanding. I do different collections and so on a monthly basis. So on monthly basis or for seasonal collections. So I am thinking of getting into like different boutiques and hotels, and that's long-term vision. So you can follow me on Instagram. I am there at Soapful Caribbean, and you can give us a call on our sign is 829-1466 to direct order.
She believes packaging and the aroma help to distinguish the Soapful Caribbean product line from others in the marketplace. Trevor Thorpe for the YES Business Report.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, or ICAB, will be engaging local stakeholders about the delivery of accounting services. Interim Executive Director Lisa Padmore says ICAB wants to ensure it stays on course given the changing dynamics of the profession in a new world order. She's outlined the vision as the organization prepares to celebrate Accountants Week 2023 next month.
What is coming up in the pipeline for us as accountants, whether it is AI, whether it is sustainability reporting, and ensuring that our curriculums in Barbados for the profession are up to date as it relates to international education standards, and also just making sure that when a 16-year-old is introduced to accounting, that they are excited by the prospect of the future in this profession and not just the traditional roles that we've seen over the last 20 to 30 years, being someone's financial controller, being an auditor.
Let's head back over to the sports studio now for the second half in sports. Anne-Marie.
Well, Lisa, some good news out of Chile. Barbados' #1 female squash player, Megan Best, is into tonight's quarterfinals of the Pan American Games in Santiago. Here's Damien Best.
Well, two of the brightest stars Barbados has to offer in the squash arena were on point in their opening round fixtures here in Santiago, Chile. First up, Margot Prout won her round of 32 fixture to advance to the round of 16, but then she went up against her USA opponent and lost there. However, Megan Best drawing a bye in that first round. She advanced from the round of 16 after defeating her Colombian opponent. Both Best and Prout were on court around the same time for the round of 16 fixtures. Best was busy battling Lucia Bautista of Colombia on court 4, while Prout was next door on court 3, playing Amanda Sobey of the USA. Prout had done well to advance from the round of 32, coming from a game down to beat Caridad Banana of Colombia 12-14, 11-5, 11-6, 11-8. However, it was always going to be a tough assignment against the higher-ranked Sobey in the round of 16. Sobey sent Prout packing in 15 minutes, 11-2, 11-3, 11-3. Well, the other 21-year-old for Barbados, Megan Best, looked in good nick after a slow start in the first game against Bautista. She trailed 3-love before producing her best squash to draw first blood, 11-6. But credit must be given to Bautista, who made some adjustments and prolonged this 3 best-of-5 encounter, with Megan appealing on several occasions for interference during some intense rallies. The Colombian leveling the contest 11-7 in the second. However, Best poured on the magic, digging deep to put this one away 11-9, 11-6 to take the contest 3-1.
That's just me every match, just a slow start. I need to get a better warm-up or something, but no, yeah, as I said, it's first match, so I definitely was trying to work through some nerves here and there, obviously, but I think I got what I needed out of that match, and I feel pretty confident to go into the next match tonight. I definitely want to medal in all 3 events this tournament. That'll be the singles, doubles, and teams. We got a good seeding going into doubles. We're 3-4. Teams as well, we're 3-4, so even if we maintain that seeding, we'll be coming home at least a bronze. Best meets the highly rated Holly Norton of Canada in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, it was day 2 of sailing in the Dengue ILCA 7 with Scott Gittins last in the field of 22 with total net points of 103 after 6 rounds. Reporting live from Santiago, Chile, Damien Best, CBC Sports.
And that's our news for tonight. On behalf of the entire team, thanks for tuning in. Good night.